If you were wanting to trade for a starting pitcher this winter, I've got some bad news for you. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today for Friday, November 14th, your source for news, notes, and updates on your Atlanta Braves. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. You can follow the show on X, Braves_today. We have a Facebook page and Instagram as well. And you can find all of my written work, bravestoday.com. That's the Braves Today Substack, as this is both a podcast and a newsletter. GM meetings are over. Everybody flew home on Thursday. But coming out of the GM meetings, not a lot of deals. Two guys have actually signed standard major league contracts. Leody Taveras, the outfielder, 1 year, $2 million with the Orioles. Nate Pearson, the pitcher, 1 year, $1.35 million with the Astros. But we got a lot of news about teams' plans this offseason, who they're looking to trade, who they're not looking to trade, and what they're willing to do to facilitate these deals. And the bad news is there might be a lot less starting pitchers available for the Braves than we expected. Because not only are some of the teams who were expected to move guys just kind of signaling they're not going to do it, but also some of the guys who are available and expected to get moved are in the division. So some of the giant names that we thought were going to move this winter are not. Like, if you look at some of the most desirable names, Skill, right? Everybody wants Tariq Skubal, right? Everybody wants Paul Skeens. Those guys aren't going anywhere. You look at some of the cheapest guys, Freddie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers, Joe Ryan of the Twins. They're really affordable. The Brewers have indicated they're probably going to keep Peralta unless they get a massive offer. And the Twins are discussing investing in the team to try to get some goodwill back from the fans. So they may not make a move at all. And then some of the other guys who we thought were available and were going to move are in Atlanta's own division. Mackenzie Gore, the lefty for the Washington Nationals. MLB Trade Rumors had him number 1 on their list of 40 trade candidates for this offseason. What are the odds that Paul Taboni moves him in the division? And this could be a bummer because a possible shortstop solution, if you wanted to take the risk of trying to fix the defense, was going to be C.J. Abrams. He has, I think it's 2 or 3 years of control left, and they could possibly consider moving him as well. But again, in the division, the Marlins, Sandy Alcantara, Edward Cabrera. It's expected that one or both of them move, although Miami has kind of signaled they might throw some more money into payroll and support some of these guys, get some more offense around them. Same thing. You're in the division. Does Peter Bendix want to make that move within the National League East? I think your odds are better of getting somebody from Miami than I think they are getting somebody out of Washington. But either way, it doesn't feel incredibly likely, with the caveat of Jesus Luzardo did go to the Phillies last year. So we have at least seen that. And then outside of the division, some of the other guys that you were kind of hoping could possibly be traded. Hunter Green of the Cincinnati Reds. President of Baseball Operations Nick Krall said they're likely going to keep him. Luis Castillo of the Mariners. That's one that's kind of been floating around a little bit. It's been speculated by a couple different writers that they might move him, but the team's given no indication that they're actually considering that. Their rotation has been the strength of that team for multiple years now. He is the veteran, the elder statesman of that rotation. Yes, they could potentially look to make that move, but they've given no indication that it's actually going to happen. But I think the good news for Atlanta is if you go to the central divisions, there are still a bunch of players, a bunch of pitchers who could be on the move. Chris Bubic, Kansas City Royals, Brady Singer of the Reds, Mitch Keller of the Pirates, all guys that could potentially be moved. And there's two really interesting options, one in Minnesota, one in St. Louis, that the path has been paved to make that happen. We'll discuss that next, right here on Braves Today. Welcome back to Braves Today. Lindsey Crosby. A little bit of a shorter episode today. Sorry for throwing in an early ad break there. If you can't tell, I'm losing my voice a little bit, so I'm trying to get through the show before it is completely gone. It'll give me a couple days to rest. We got some news this week about some of the central options. I mentioned the other day about Byron Buxton being willing to waive his no-trade clause if the team continues to tear down. You could obviously see the Braves trying to get either Joe Ryan or Pablo Lopez, and if they do that, looking for a package deal with Buxton. We discussed that the other day. I will point out, somebody sent me a video, and off the top of my head, I cannot remember who it is, but Byron Buxton posted a video to social media. He was in a plane or a helicopter or something, flying over the giant, massive home he is having built in Baxley, Georgia, where he's from. So he is building a massive home in southeast Georgia. It's halfway between like Savannah and Tifton or so. He's having a massive house built in Baxley. And so there you go. But the Cardinals also discussed a potential Sonny Gray deal. They indicated, this was reported by Katie Wu of The Athletic, they indicated that they would be willing to pay down Sonny Gray's contract in order to move him in a deal this winter. And I think the big reason why that matters is because, like, one, the Braves were connected to Sonny Gray when he signed in St. Louis. I really wanted Sonny Gray in Atlanta. He finished in 2023. He was like runner-up for Cy Young in the American League with Minnesota. 2.79 ERA, had the lowest fielded independent pitching and lowest home run per 9 innings in all of baseball. But he got a qualifying offer from Minnesota. So he goes to St. Louis and he signs a 3-year deal. And it was a really weird deal financially, because the money was not anything, like, it was not a weird amount when you looked at the money. The overall dollar figure, it was like 3 years. I think it was $65 million. But when you look at the way the money was set up, it was $10 million in salary in year 1, $25 in year 2, which you just finished, and $35 million in year 3. Next season, Sonny Gray's salary is $35 million. And you have a club option for 2027, his age 37 season, at $30 million, but a $5 million buyout. And he can opt out of the contract by sacrificing the buyout if you pick up the option. There's not many reasons a 37-year-old would turn down $30 million, $35 million, unless he was just phenomenal and thought he could get one last bag. But $40 million is a lot of money in Major League Baseball. Like, right now, there are 4 players who are making $40 million a year on their deals. Shohei Ohtani, which it's listed at 70 when you factor in the deferrals. I think it's like 48 or something. Juan Soto's making an average of $51 million a year, which is just a terrible, 15-year terrible. Zach Wheeler's making $42 million, and Aaron Judge is making $40 million. Is Sonny Gray the 5th best player in baseball? No. He didn't have a bad year last year, mind you. This was something, so the ERA was a little ugly, 4.28, right? His field and independent pitching was 3.39. A lot of the peripherals and other things he did looked really good. He just kind of had some bad luck from playing in St. Louis and, you know, a team that struggled defensively at times and things like that. But the big thing here is St. Louis has indicated they're willing to pay down that contract a little bit. They're willing to put some money in to lower the hit on another team so that they can get a better return. And so there's a couple options here for the Braves. I think obviously you can call Minnesota. We know that they checked in on Byron Buxton at the trade deadline, and Buxton said no, he wanted to stay. And the only reason he's changed his mind now is the fact that he's facing the realization that they're going to continue to tear the roster down. The GM, Derek Falvey, admitted he doesn't know, right? I think I covered this the other day. Like, he doesn't know what the payroll level is going to be. He thinks they're going to give him some more money to invest in payroll to get some goodwill from the fans back, but he doesn't know. He'll probably know by the winter meetings. But obviously, you're going to call there to see if you can get Buxton and either Ryan or Pablo Lopez. Ryan's 2 years of arbitration. Lopez is signed to a contract, and so because of that, it's going to be it's going to be cheaper probably to get Pablo Lopez than it's going to be to get Joe Ryan, so because Joe Ryan's going to be so cheap. Pablo Lopez has $21.75 million owed in both the 26 and 27, and then he's a completely unrestricted free agent in 2028. Joe Ryan's 2 years of arbitration, and then he's a free agent as well. But I do feel like calling St. Louis may end up being what works, because there's a couple other options of guys you can go ask for from St. Louis. There's been a little conversation about Lars Nootbaar. He shouldn't be too expensive because he has that combination of both. He hasn't quite broken out yet, and right now he's recovering from an injury. I think he had surgery on both of his heels, which is an absolutely wild thing to have to deal with. He may not even be ready for the start of the season, but he's a guy, he can play all three positions. Like, he can play all three defensive positions. I do think he's a little miscast as an everyday center fielder, but he can cover center field for you and then be additive in a corner. Left field's probably the best place for him. And you are getting him at kind of the bottom point of his value. The last couple seasons, 21 was like 60 games. But other than that, he's played 100-plus games in every season of his career. And his OPS plus for his career entering 25, which again was full of injuries, was a 115 OPS plus. He's been a good player. He's averaged like 12 homers, something like he's paced for 25 homers and 10 stolen bases every year of his career. He's not played 162 games, but he's paced for that. So you could always get Lars Nootbaar. He's probably cheaper. The more expensive guy, and the guy that I honestly would really want in this situation, I think I've mentioned this a little bit before, but is Brendan Donovan. The idea here, he was a Gold Glove winner in 2022 as a utility man. He was, I think, third place finisher for Rookie of the Year that year. Obviously, 2022 was the year where Michael Harris and Spencer Strider dominated Rookie of the Year voting in the National League. And then he was an All-Star this last year. He's a career 282 hitter. 117 OPS plus for his career. He averages like 13 homers a season or so. He only played 118 games because of injury. But his 162 game average over his career is 13 homers, 5 stolen bases. He's not empty batting average, but the biggest thing he's bringing you is batting average and on base. For his career, he runs a walk rate of 9.1%, a strikeout rate of only 13%, 9% below MLB average on strikeout rate, and like 1% better than league average on walk rate. He puts the ball in play at like a league average amount, but he's he's pretty decent at getting line drives. He's better than average at that. He doesn't leave the ball on the ground as much as the average hitter. He is a positive addition to your offense. And then defensively, he can play everywhere. He's played everything but center field and catcher. Now, when you look at Brendan Donovan on StatCast and all of the defensive ratings, he's not fantastic defensively anywhere, but he's not awful anywhere. Like, for his career, I think he's at like -1 outs above average at shortstop. He's above average at second base. He's played third. He's played both corner outfield positions. And this is something, he has like 1,800 career innings at second. He has 300 career innings at third. He has 1,200 in left. He has another 200 and something in right. 150 or so at first base. He's the utility guy you could legitimately rotate through five positions. He could play 5 different positions in 5 consecutive days and give those guys a chance to DH as far as playing first, playing second, playing third, playing left, playing right. And then if, not saying you're going to, if you end up with a guy like Nick Allen as your shortstop and you pinch hit for him late, Brendan Donovan can kick over and cover shortstop for a couple innings to finish the game out. If you pinch hit for Nick Allen in the 7th inning, the bottom of the 7th, Brendan Donovan can play shortstop in the 8th and the 9th, and you're not going to die out there. You're not going to love it, but you're not going to die out there. So that's probably the dream here, is to get Gray and Donovan. But either way, like, again, there's kind of money issues you have to figure out here, right? You have to figure out with Gray, again, $40 million. They said they'd pay a significant portion of it, but they're not going to pay all of it. You got to figure that out. Really curious to see what Atlanta does and what happens. My expectation is that you probably don't see any of these moves made by the Braves until sometime after the winter meetings. And I do think they're kind of in a holding pattern until they find out from Minnesota what Minnesota's doing, because the Braves aren't going to pass up the opportunity to go try and get Byron Buxton. I also wonder, could the Braves try to target some of Jeremy Hefner's former pitchers? We'll talk about those guys next, right here on Braves Today. Final segment of Braves Today, Lindsey Crosby just trying to get through the week and have a voice still. The discussion is going to keep on going all weekend. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're listening on audio, in the episode description, there's a link. We have a new Discord. So those of you who don't know, Discord is a not quite a messaging app, but you can create kind of like a server where people can get into and they can discuss different topics. We made one for the Braves. There's different channels for whether it's prospects, trades, fantasy, baseball, all that stuff. But we made one for the Braves. Again, links in the episode description, completely free. I'm in there. A bunch of subscribers to the newsletter are in there, and a bunch of people who saw the announcement when I put it on social media. So again, link in the episode description for the Discord, completely free, just a place to chat with Braves fans, and I'm really excited about what it's going to look like during a game being played. So that's something I'm looking forward to next spring. I've been thinking about reuniting guys with Jeremy Hefner, right? Pitchers who have done well under Jeremy Hefner, trying to get them back get him together with them again. And some of this depends on, I think one of the issues is anybody who's currently with the Mets is probably not an option. We have reports that the Mets are considering trading Kodai Senga. Like, he is available via trade this winter, and teams have already checked in on him. I don't hate the idea of Kodai Senga. He is very good when he is healthy. 52 MLB starts, an ERA of 3. But in the last 2 seasons, he's pitched a grand total of 146 innings. And he looked really bad down the stretch last year, bad enough where they demoted him to AAA and then did not call him back up. They went with a bunch of rookies, a bunch of prospects down the stretch as they were trying to just get one more win than they ended up getting to make the postseason. Do the Braves call and ask about Senga? And then while we're here, Luis Angel Acuna, Ronald's little brother, is a utility man who's played shortstop. He's out of options. We can take him off your hands too. Do the Braves make a call? I'm sure they do. Do they actually get him? I don't think so. Simply because it's the same thing we talked about with Gore, same thing we talked about with Alcantara and Cabrera. It's in the division, and I just don't really feel like you're going to see that. Although, when Stearns was in Milwaukee, he did make some minor trades within the division. And we've seen some of the little, like, a DFA'd guy for cash considerations. Those deals happen in the division as well. So maybe Stearns would do this. I just don't feel like it would end well for him in New York if he did. So that's probably not going to happen. But They'll have some free agents. Griffin Canning is a guy that was briefly a Brave last year. Braves legend Griffin Canning. He was your return for Jorge Soler. He got non-tendered. He then joined the Mets because he wanted to get his hands on that pitching lab. He was really intrigued about the pitching lab. That's why he went there, and then ended up blowing out his Achilles against the Braves, actually. He's probably not going to be ready for the start of the season, so that would be you'd sign him to a 2-year deal kind of thing. He'd be on the 60-day IL. He'd rehab, be in the minors for as long as you could, and then you call him up and you have him for one more season after this, or it's like a 1+1. You have an option on him or something. But I've been thinking more and more about Luis Severino. He had been in New York. He struggled in his final year, like 4-8, 6.65 ERA in like 90 innings. So he signs a 1-year deal with the Mets, found his groove again, struck out 161 batters in New York, lowered the OPS he allowed by 225 points, dropped his home run rate by like 2.5%, and got a 3-year, $67 million deal from the Athletics, which, fun fact, is the largest free agent contract they have ever given out. It is a record, and it was 3 years and $67 million. He's gotten through 1 year of that deal, and he was okay. ERA of 4.5. He really struggled early, and he talked about the fact that Sutter Health Park, the minor league park they play in West Sacramento, the clubhouse is out in left field. Really causes him problems. His routine, what he does in home games, is he goes back into the clubhouse in the half inning where he's not on the field. He's not watching the game from the dugout. He goes in the clubhouse to stay cool, to stay hydrated, and he couldn't do that in Sacramento because, again, the clubhouse is out beyond left field. It's not like it's everywhere else where it's just behind the dugout. You walk down the tunnel and right there, boom, you're in the clubhouse. He was not good early. First 19 starts this last year, ERA of 5.30. He didn't get his ERA below 5 until the trade deadline. So they weren't able to move him, but he did recover. His final 10 starts, 54 innings, his ERA was 3. He had a strikeout rate of 23%, so like 8 or 9% better than what he did in the first part of the year. His walk rate was down a full percent to like 6%. He was like 7.4%. 6 of those 10 were on the road, but he did have 2 really good starts at home against the Mariners and the Astros. And that was kind of around, he had an oblique injury, took out a lot of his August. But like he faced Seattle at home, 1 run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts in 5 innings. He faced the Astros at home, 6 1/3 scoreless, 3 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Like just really stabilized down the stretch. So if Atlanta wanted to make the deal for Luis Severino, you're probably getting them to cover some of the money or maybe take a bad contract. And I'm going to get there in a second. He's owed $20 million for 2026, and he has a $22 million player option for 2027. So your best case scenario is he pulls a Shane Bieber and should opt out, but he picks up the option because he likes playing for you. You're keeping him under the Atlanta max, and he's been good. Your worst case scenario is he's bad or he's hurt, and he picks up the option, and you're paying him to rehab and then go to free agency. And the question's going to be, do the Athletics, how much of that money can you get them to pick up? Or can you do a contract swap and say, we'll take him and all of his money. We want you to take Aaron Bummer and the $9.5 million owed to Aaron Bummer. So then Severino's cost for next season is not $20 million, it's $10.5 million. Because the Bummer money, right? You're offsetting with the Bummer money. That obviously that makes your bullpen issues a little more pronounced, but that does give you a cheaper starter who has shown that he can be a quality starter. In 2022 for the Yankees, he had an ERA of 3.18. in 19 starts. In 2017, he was third place finisher for Cy Young, a 2.98 ERA in 31 starts and 193 to third innings. The next year, another all-star year, 3.39 ERA in 32 starts, 191 innings. Ninth place finisher in Cy Young. Then he got injured in 2019 and missed all of 2020 and was late coming back in 2021. But the point is, he has a history of being very good. He worked well with Jeremy Hefner. You have the option to get a guy like that, reunite him with Jeremy Hefner. I do also wonder, do you see the Braves, Hefner likes to do this, do you see the Braves attempt another reliever to starter conversion? The Braves like to do it, Hefner likes to do it. I'm thinking Brad Keller here. I'm thinking Luke Weaver here. One of those two are candidates to have that happen. I will point out for Brad Keller, born in Snellville, Georgia, went to Flowery Branch High School, was drafted by the Diamondbacks straight out of high school. So he is a local kid. If you decide you want to sign Brad Keller and try to convert him into a starter, you would be bringing him home. It's a thing the Braves like to do. This has been Braves Today for Friday, November 14th. Do me a favor, listening on audio, a 5-star review would be fantastic. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, leave a comment down below. Also, come join us on the Discord. Tons of great conversation. I think we had like 50-something signups in the first day it was out there, and it's just going to get bigger from here. Until next time, this has been Braves Today.